From homeless Negro to millionaire, a story of Elon Musk and Donald Trump's impact. Elon Carter's name blazed across screens and headlines like a comet, unstoppable, blinding, and impossible to ignore. But nobody knew the itch beneath his tailored suit, the ache behind the perfectly timed smiles. Elon was the tech world's golden boy, racking up innovation after innovation, pocketing billions while Silicon Valley bowed to his vision. Yet a hidden video slapped the world awake. Elon, raw and unmasked, tears rolling down his cheeks as he whispered the name of a man history barely remembered. A black mentor. A giant shadowed by silence. It was Silicon Valley's hottest secret, whispered in sleek offices, shouted on crowded subway cars, and buzzing behind every startup dream. The leaked clip sent shockwaves through every glittering conference room and espresso bar. Elon Carter, the monster of ambition, broken, one sob, squeezed from years of bottled pain. People gasped. "Who is this Ma?" Under the buzzing neon, a documentary crew was closing in, ready to peel back layers no one wanted touched. This wasn't just another feel-good story about garage successes and rocket ships. This was a reckoning about race, power, and the air Elon breathed without ever paying attention. The film pieced together a truth that could shatter the shiny glass walls of the tech empire. Elon sat alone in his penthouse, glass of scotch untouched. The city's hum wrapped tight around him. His hands trembled, not from age or strain, but from the storm brewing inside. The mentor's face floated behind his eyes, a man who pushed him when the world pushed back, who saw potential when no one else did. Yet the spotlight never turned his way. The truth dangled in front of Elon, heavy as a guillotine blade. Across the valley, a rival billionaire caught wind of the leak, smirking behind closed doors. His voice was venom in every meeting. Is Elon Carter really the titan he claims, or just a well-grow? The company's diversity numbers, once a quiet source of pride, now felt fractured, a fragile shield against the storm. Then the bombshell dropped. A dark secret tied to Elon's mentor surfaced, one that threatened to undo everything Elon thought he owed the man. Rumors spilled like blood on the internet, something that could tip public opinion from sympathy to scandal. Elon's heart pounded like a drum. The silence was deafening. What line should he cross? What truth was worth sharing? And what would staying quiet cost him and the world he'd helped build? In this crucible of power, pain, and hidden debts, Elon's next move could change everything. Would he honor the legacy of the man who saved him, or bury it to protect his throne? Questions swirled like the restless fog over Silicon Valley streets, leaving everyone holding their breath. What will Elon Carter choose? And how deep does the shadow of silence really go? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like that really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Elon sat there, the weight of the truth pressing down like lead. He was still tangled in thoughts of his mentor, the man who believed in him when nobody else did. Then, the phone rang, a sound so jarring it felt like a thunderclap in the quiet room. With shaky hands, he picked it up. It was his assistant. "Elon, you need to see this." Her voice trembled, fear tinging the edges. "It's urgent." He barely had time to respond before she continued. "A group is planning a protest downtown. They're bringing up everything. Your past, the mentor, all of it." A chill shot through him. His heart raced, panic clawing at the edges of his mind. "Who?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "Just listen. They found something about your mentor. Something big," she said, her breath quickening. You have to see the video." His pulse thudded. A video? Why now? Thoughts raced enough to scare him. What could it be? He grabbed his tablet, fingers swiping through news feeds, and there it was. Headline blaring, images flashing. Elon Carter's mentor, the shocking truth exposed. He clicked it. His blood ran cold. The video painted a horrifying picture. His mentor was not just a forgotten man. He was tied to a scandal that shook the very city they thrived in. Rumors spooled through the video like dark smoke. Allegations of exploitation and manipulation. Tales of stepping on others to rise. Voices overlaid through the grainy footage, accusing him of creating their pain. Elon's chest tightened, each word thrumming louder than the last. His mentor was not the hero he had held close. The truth felt like betrayal, like a knife twisting deeper. Everything Elon had built off his mentor's name now seemed to tremble on a shaky foundation. There was more. The video included clips of protests, faces in the crowd shouting his name, demanding justice. They held signs with pictures of his mentor, links to shady deals that cut deep into community lives. Pain echoed from their cries. It was a sickening wave, drowning out everything Elon once believed about loyalty and gratitude. Is it true? Did he hurt them? Did he use people? The questions tangled in his mind like a snared fishing line. He felt hollow, dizzy. The foundations of his reality began to crack, clouds of doubt looming over him. And then a text pinged. It was from a rival, someone he thought he could trust. "This is your chance, Elon. You can spin it, make it look like you stood against him. Or your empire falls with the truth of what he really is." The coldness of the words wrapped around his spine, frigid and unforgiving. Elon felt the stirrings of anger, not at his rival, but at the very decision that lay in front of him. What if he exposed his mentor, the person who believed in him? And what would that mean for his empire? Outside, the world was shifting. Whispers grew louder. Faces turned towards him, waiting, judging. He felt the weight of their expectations, the sharp sounds of their doubt mingling with uncertainty. Everyone held their breath. Would he betray the man who had lifted him from nothing? Or would he save the image he had carved into Silicon Valley? It felt like a monster was waking inside him, ready to strike. The silence stretched out, heavy and thick. Elon's heart pounded. What would he choose, and at what cost? The shadows deepened, and just when it felt like he couldn't breathe, Another ring shattered the moment. The news was breaking again, and this time, the ramifications echoed like a crack of lightning through a dark sky, altering every relationship, every belief, set to unravel all he thought he knew. What truly laid ahead? Elon Carter's heart raced, pounding against his chest like a wild animal. He felt trapped, suffocated by the weight of expectation. The city hummed, oblivious to the storm brewing inside him. What should he do? Honor a man who stood in the shadows, or silence the truth that burned sharp like a knife? Deep down, he knew sharing his story could change everything. Yet fear wrapped around him, squeezing tight. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. An incoming video call from Jess, his comunicaciones director. She looked frantica, eyes wide with desperation. Elon, you need to see this. Panic pulsed through her voice, cutting through his fog. What is it? He asked, standing abruptly. As the video flickered to life, he froze. It showed a protest erupte outside his company's headquarters. Angry voices filled the air, chants cutting through the sound like brittle glass breaking. Elon Carter, you failed us! They held signs demanding justice, change, voices of a community feeling ignored. But one sign grabbed him by the gut. Where's our black mentor? He felt bile rise in his throat. It wasn't just about him anymore. The crowd surged, faces painted with frustration and anguish. Who leaked that video? Jess demanded, her voice sharp. They're claiming you were never alone in your success. They say you stole the narrative of our businesses. Elon's stomach churned, dark secrets unearthed. Something inside him twisted and turned as he realized the truth. His mentor had been accused of serious crimes, betrayal, and lies. The very foundations of the legacy he cherished were crumbling. The energy shifted, hitting him like a punch. He was on the brink of a revelation, edging closer to the truth that could destroy everything. What if? He whispered, but Jess shook her head. No, don't even say it. It will lead to a media frenzy. But it was too late. The room spun. His breath caught in his throat like a hot stone. This wasn't just about his story anymore. It was about generations, voices that had been silenced. Footsteps echoed down the hall. Elon turned. The door swung open. Investors stormed in, urgency lighting their eyes. Elon, we need to talk. This is bad. Stock prices are dropping. The public demands answers. The pressure shot up to alarming heights. Chests tightened all around. He saw doubt etching itself onto their faces like a painter's brush fighting against reality. What would it take to mend the fractures spiraling out of control? Each murmur hung in the air like thick smoke. Confusion, betrayal, despair. What do we tell them? One investor finally asked, hands trembling. The energy shifted again. Elon felt a floor tilto beneath him. What if he was wrong about everything? What if he was wrong about everything, wasn't a mentor, but a puppet master, pulling strings, manipulating narratives to rise above the rest? He swallowed hard, fear flooding his veins. All eyes fixed on him, waiting, desperate for direction. They needed him to stand tall. But how could he lead when the truth felt like shards of glass jabbing at his conscience? The silence cracked. A loud bang echoed from outside. Windows rattled. An explosion of voices. Down with the lies. Then it hit him. A truth deeper than any secret. One that even the darkest shadows couldn't hide. "They can't unravel me if I unravel myself first," he muttered to himself, realizing the power of his own narrative could turn the tide. And just like that, with the weight of the world hanging on his shoulders, the future lay in front of him. A labyrinth of choices. What would he choose? The answer lingered, elusive as smoke, leaving everyone grasping for clarity in a storm of uncertainty. Elon Carter arrastre, pandeando a sus espaldas como un animal salvado. Sentía atrapado, sofocado por el peso de la expectación. La ciudad zumbaba, oblivada por su casa zapolando. ¿Qué ha de aquí? ¿Honorar a un hombre que se para en la oscuridad? ¿O a silenciar la verdad que velaba a fuego como un cuchillo? En el fondo, sabía él que podría cambiar todo. El miedo se le acercaba con todo. Tanto pereó, llamando seguidamente intensa. Era Jess, ojos muertos de pánico, su voz brincando por sus pensamientos como gases. Elon, tenías que ver esto. Han encontrado algo más. Es increíble. ¿Qué es? He asked, rising from his chair, urgency creeping into his bones. As the video blinked to life, dread filled his gut. A sea of protesters filled the screen, faces twisted in anger, waving banners demanding justice. Then, the camera zoomed in on an old newspaper clipping taped to a lamppost. The headline screamed, "The Untold Story of Betrayal." Elon's breath hitched. The article detailed a scandal, not just about his mentor, but about his family, about his entire legacy. Deep, dark secrets waiting to be uncovered. Dark secrets that dated back decades. The kind of secrets that, if revealed, could destroy the man he had admired. "Jess, what are they saying?" he stammered, dread pounding in his ears. "They're claiming your mentor was involved in a cover-up. Not just anyone. A cover-up linked to organized crime, exploitation of the community. And they're saying you were part of it." He could hardly process the words, each syllable cutting like a knife. Faces around him became a blur. Whispers rising like waves. The investors were frozen, every gaze locked onto him, like a spotlight. Job titles and loyalties felt meaningless now. The weight crushed him. Suddenly, two figures burst through his office door, breathless and urgent. One was a close advisor. The other, a face he knew all too well. "Mr. Carter, we need to talk," came the familiar voice of his old friend Tom. "They're accusing you of not just being complicit, but a direct participant in this whole mess." A chill swept through him. The walls felt like they were closing in. How? How could they even think? But Jess interrupted, panic spilling over. "They've got evidence, Elon. Text messages, records. It all ties back to you." Panic twisted like a snake inside him. The truth, once a distant friend, was now a cold betrayal. His mentor's shadow loomed larger than ever, pulsing with danger. Could it all be a setup? The sickening thought twisted in his gut. Then, chaos erupted outside. A loud crash, shouts echoing in the hallway. The crowd surged closer to the entrance. voices blending into a roar. Elon, you owe us explanations. They pushed against the glass doors, frantic determination etched on their faces. Every plea felt like a dagger aimed directly at him. Suddenly, a loud voice broke through. "Carter, we trust you! Tell us the truth!" The words struck him harder than the pounding fists on the glass. The world he built was crumbling fast. But within the chaos, something else flickered in his mind. A faint memory of whispers about corruption. A buried truth that he had avoided. "The truth can lead to freedom," he thought out loud. But the weight of responsibility was crushing. He felt the collective heartbeat of the crowd outside, pounding, demanding answers. Just then, it happened. A figure burst through the chaos. His mentor's daughter. They spell anger electrifica del aire. Elon, you will not take the culpa for this. Gazpos llenan el cuarto. Ella se acercó a sí misma. Ojos fieres. You can't let them twist your story. It wasn't your mentor. You were deceived. We have to expose the real architects of this mess. Wait, what did she mean? Could things be different than what they seemed? Was there someone else pulling the strings? Hidden, lurking, ready to strike? The question lingered in the air like a ghost, stoking the fire in everyone's hearts. As he stood at this crossroads, staring into the storm, the question loomed. What's the truth? And who really is the enemy? Elon Carter stood on the edge of a precipice, his thoughts spiraling. An unseen force pulled at his insides. Was this the moment he embraced truth, or the moment he slipped into shadows? As he wrestled with his choices, a sudden ringing broke the silence, jolting him out of his reverie. It was his phone, the screen lighting up with an unknown number. He hesitated, but curiosity gnawed at him. "Hello," he said, voice barely a whisper. "Mr. Carter?" A woman's voice crackled on the other end, laced with urgency. "I have something important." His heart raced. Who is this? Someone who knows about your mentor and who he really was. A chill shivered down his spine. "What do you mean?" "I can't explain over the phone. Meet me tonight. The old warehouse on 3rd Street. The line went dead. Against every instinct, he felt the pull of this mystery. The warehouse was abandoned, shrouded in rumors and memories. He remembered the words of his mentor. Truth can be a sharp weapon. But now, truth felt like an impossible choice. As night fell, the city sparkled beneath him, but all he felt was cold dread. He slipped into an old hoodie and left the penthouse. Each step was heavy. The streets were alive, cars honking, people bustling, but he felt distant, hidden in his own thoughts. The warehouse loomed ahead, dark and ominous. He pushed the door open, the creak echoing like a whisper of secrets. Shadows danced. "Hello," he called out, his voice bouncing off the walls. The silence tightened around him. A figure stepped from the darkness. A woman, face half hidden. "You came." "I did." "What do you know about my mentor?" he pressed, urgency flooding his words. She hesitated, fear flickering in her eyes. "He was not who you think. Not a hero, but a manipulator. He had ties to a network, a system of exploitation that preyed on the very people he claimed to uplift." Elon felt that familiar tightness in his chest. What? No, that can't be true. It is. He used people, including you. You weren't just lifted. You were used as a pawn in his game. His hands shook. Stop! You're lying! But deep down, doubt simmered. The woman reached into her bag. I have proof. She pulled out a stack of documents, letters, contracts, names. Each paper felt heavier than the last. I've been looking into it for years. Your success was built atop the backs of others, and he orchestrated it all. The world spun. All those sacrifices, they meant nothing? People suffered, all while he collected power and influence. He played the game, and you played right into his hands. Just then, a loud crash pierced the air, and the lights flickered overhead. From the shadows, several figures emerged, faces masked. Eyes filled with rage. You shouldn't have come here, they shouted, charging toward them. Panic surged. Elon's heart pounded en hicieres, draunando que laqueas. Se la agarró el mano de la mujer, empujó la retrocina. ¡Dun! Se metieron atravesando la piscina, decretos trabados, pasando paso por delante. Su mente se despertaba, en él por el caos. O él era un pápete, virtiendo a su imperio sobre la mentira. Se despertaban en la noche, no dejaron correr hasta el sonido del perseguidor. Respirando cálido, lo vio a la mujer, desesperado de claridad. What now? She met his gaze, fear replaced by fierce determination. Now you decide who you are, what you'll stand for. But you must know, the truth isn't just a weapon. It's a weight. Are you ready to carry it? And just like that, the light of his carefully crafted world flickered, leaving him teetering on the edge of revelation. Would he embrace this new truth, or run back to the comfort of ignorance? The question hung heavy in the air, unanswered, as a new chapter loomed ahead, darker and more dangerous than he ever imagined. Elon's heart raced. The silence pressed down on him. The weight of expectation felt like 1,000 eyes watching, waiting. What came next could shatter everything. Would he expose the past, honor his mentor, and risk everything he'd built? Or would he hide, scared of the unknown? Suddenly, his phone buzzed violently against the glass table. The screen flashed with a name he hadn't seen in years. Amanda! His longtime friend and ally. Her number lit up like a flare. He hesitated. Why was she calling now? With trembling hands, he picked up, heart pounding like a drum. Elon, are you okay? Her voice was sharp, full of urgency. You need to see this. What is it? He struggled to keep his voice steady. Just check the news. Trust me. Before he could respond, the line clicked dead. With a sinking feeling, he grabbed the remote and turned on the massive screen looming over his penthouse. News anchors spoke in hushed tones, the room filled with muted tension. Breaking news. A shocking tape has emerged that could change everything for billionaire Elon Carter, one anchor announced, the words slicing through the air. Elon leaned forward. The screen flickered to life, revealing a grainy video. At first, it looked like a simple gathering, but chaos erupted in flashes. There were voices, anger, faces contorted in rage, and amidst it all, his mentor, standing tall, firm. And then, a shout pierced the noise. He lied! We spent years supporting him, and he never told us the truth. Elon's breath hitched. What truth? The camera panned closer. The mentor's mouth moved, but the voice faded into a blur of accusations and disbelief. Then the screen froze. A shot of his mentor. A ring glinting on his finger. Unmistakable. A family crest. An emblem Elon had seen only once in his childhood. A connection he thought was lost to time. No. No. This couldn't be. The whispers he'd ignored as a child came flooding back. The unanswered questions about lineage. The pride and shame intertwined. Unthinkable connections! The report continued, revealing documents that hit harder than any blow. Revelations claim that Elon Carter's rise is not just due to his talents, but might be rooted in unacknowledged privileges and hidden ties to wealth he never claimed. The mentor? Not just a guide, but part of a dynasty that owned the very industry Elon now dominates. Shocked gasps filled the room. The image of his mentor lingered, eyes wide, revealing layers of deception. The audience erupted in a storm of disbelief, viewers across the nation glued to their screens. The atmosphere felt electric with speculation and horror. Elon staggered back, feeling the floor slip beneath him. Could this be true? The truth tangled with fantasy, a revelation that challenged everything: his success, his identity, even his mentor's motives. Was he a self-made man, or a puppet in a game he never asked to play? Suddenly, the door swung open. Amanda stood there, face pale, eyes wide, breathless. Elon, you need to see what's next. It gets worse. His stomach twisted. Could it really get worse? What do you mean? His voice was barely a whisper. Just watch. She turned on her phone, scrolling through the feed. You won't believe this. As the video continued to unfold, it revealed shocking connections that were more than just headlines. Friends turned into enemies, past heroes painted as villains. In a heartbeat, everything he thought he knew about himself was crumbling, like ash in the wind. What is this? He stammered. The reality settling like a lead weight on his chest. It's just the beginning, Elon. Just the beginning. In that moment, amid the swirling chaos of public opinion and personal betrayal, he stood on the edge of a cliff. One wrong move could send him crashing into the abyss. How deep did this pit of secrets go, and who was he really? In the shadow of this revelation, Elon sat there, lost in thought, the silence around him thick like fog. His mind raced, teetering on an edge. What was his next move? Was it time to reveal the truth? But just as he resolved to act, a loud crash shattered the stillness. A sharp sound that echoed through the walls of his penthouse, making the glass tremble around him. His heart skipped. Was it the city? Something from above? He stood, panic seizing him. Then he heard voices. Shouts, urgent voices reaching him through the thick, reinforced glass. Elon rushed to the window and peered down. A crowd had gathered. People were pointing. Faces twisted in shock and fear. The clamor grew, a wave of anxiety rolling up the building. He turned to grab his phone, but froze. News alerts popped up. ... A breaking story. His mentor's name stared back at him, bold and glaring. Tragic death of influential mentor. Secrets revealed. His stomach dropped. The article painted a dark picture. Elon's mentor, the man who had believed in him, had been entangled in a case of fraud. Huge sums of money unaccounted for, lives ruined. The allegations were everywhere. Upbeat loops of discussion lighting up screens. A scandal that shook foundations deeper than he could have imagined. His hands trembled as he reread the article. Connections to gangs and money laundering, it read. The twisted revelations felt like a noose tightening around his neck. Tears pricked his eyes, but he blinked them away, outraged that anyone could write such things about a man who had given him everything. The phone rang. It was a number he recognized instantly. His rival's voice dripped with sarcasm. Well, well, Elon. Time to check your history. Seems your mentor isn't the saint you painted him to be. Care to comment? Elon's blood boiled. Rage mingled with fear. His mentor was being dragged through the mud. But how much of this was true? Had he failed to see the man behind the mask? Memories flooded his mind. Those late-night talks, the hard lessons, the encouragement when all felt lost. How could all that shine so brightly now feel so tainted? Outside, the crowd surged, tensions spilling over. A protest, angry faces demanding justice, answers, a reckoning. Voices melded into one chaotic cry, echoing through the streets of Silicon Valley. How had it come to this? Then, an unexpected movement caught his eye. A woman breaking through the crowd. A determined look on her face. Elon squinted, recognizing her. It was someone from his past, a friend of his mentor, someone who had also struggles. She raised a sign, "Uncover the truth." It read, bold, shiny letters that struck at him like arrows. The floor felt unsteady beneath him. What did she know? How deep did the shadows stretch? He had to act. But would revealing the truth set them free or bury them deeper? Panic gripped him. He felt every pulse in his veins, his thoughts swirling. What would happen next? Questions echoed painfully. What now? And more hauntingly, was his entire empire built on a lie? The weight of the world felt unbearable as he contemplated the path ahead. The darkness loomed larger, and the answers slipped through his fingers like sand. As Elon braced himself for a confrontation with his own reality, he felt the ground shift beneath him. The next move could either clear his name or drag him under. He couldn't shake the feeling. Something far worse was about to come to light. Elon stood, feeling the weight of the world pressing down on him. The crowd outside, full of anger and confusion, felt like a tidal wave, ready to crash over his carefully built empire. But just as he braced himself for the storm, a loud crash echoed from the hallway outside his office. The sharp sound split through the air, and his stomach dropped. "Did you hear that?" Amanda's eyes widened. Fear etched across her face. Another crash followed, a cacophony of chaos spilling through the door. The office's sliding glass panels rattled, mimicking Elon's racing heart. What was happening? Before he could react, the door slammed open, and a figure burst into the room. It was Tom, his friend and advisor, breathless and wild-eyed. "Elon, we need to go, now!" "What? Why?" Elon shouted, confusion clouding his thoughts. "They're coming for you!" "What do you mean?" Suddenly, an explosion rolled through the building, a deafening blast that sent a shockwave of panic coursing through the air. The glass windows shattered, raining fragments down on the floor. Elon ducked, instintivamente cubriéndose con escarpas esclavados. Era un caos. El amabilotaba, guso y sofocante. Amanda lloró a la conciencia, llenando el pecho. ¿Qué acabó? Una voz ecoó from la entrada del edificio. Golpes tremendo traclando. Elon Carter, estás bajo investigación. Elon. El corazón se sentía. Las palabras atravesaron el amoy como flechas. ¿Investigación? Why now? Just as the realization hit, Tom grabbed his arm, pulling him back. We have to get out. This is bigger than we thought. While they rushed toward the back exit, the corridor filled with officers, floodlights piercing through the haze. Outside, the crowd had shifted, waving signs demanding justice, not just from Elon, but from the system itself. Then, just as they reached the staircase, a deafening voice echoed from the front, magnified by the frantic energy of the crowd. You've been deceived! The biggest betrayal is not just from your mentor, but from Elon Carter himself. Elon faltered, turning back. Had someone just accused him in front of everyone? The words struck like ice, pinning him in place. The crowd erupted with shouts. Doubt speared through their chants. His mind reeled. Who was saying this? He needed to see. He turned back and caught a glimpse of a tall figure in the crowd, holding a microphone, face obscured by shadows. But the voice was unmistakable. It was Jess from his own team. Jess? He gasped, the weight of betrayal hanging heavy in the air. Yes, Jess, she shouted back, her voice raw, trembling with righteous anger. They need to know the truth about your past, about the manipulation. Panic coursed through him. It wasn't just the past unraveling now. It was everything. Jess stepped forward, eyes blazing. You think you were the only pawn? You were used to build something terrible, and the world deserves to know. Elon felt his breath hitch. The truth felt like a razor poised to cut him wide open. What are you saying? As if on cue, a loud siren blared outside, an ominous sound signaling more urgency. Officers stormed through the doorway, floodlights bouncing off their uniforms. Elon Carter, hands in the air. You're under arrest. Oh, el mundo sentía como rotándose en peso de control. Su pulso agitaba todo en torno a él. Jess estaba ternando todo a pared. El femer de su espalda derribado. Tal vez todo lo que pensaba tenía era una mentira. Como los oficiales gritaban a su puerta, la gente de la calle se ponía a salir, demandando respuestas. Elon, ¿qué es lo que quieres ese día? Jess shouted over the noise. Run or face the truth. His heart raced, atrapado por el deseo de escapar y la realización de que no había más que esconderse. De la consecuencia de sus decisiones lumbraba así, como sentía las tiendas apretadas. Este sería el momento de todo que construyó quedarse. Elon stared at Jess, searching for any sign of the friend he once knew. But in her eyes lay a determination he had never seen before. A burning need to expose a reality darker than he could ever imagine. And as he stood there, amidst the chaos, questions carved deep into the silence. The answer hung like a heavy fog. Who was the real enemy? Elon stood there, feeling the cold metal of the handcuffs bite into his wrists. The chaos around him swirled like a never-ending storm. Voices rising, shadows shifting, and the world he had crafted crumbling before his eyes. Then, an explosion rang out nearby, not outside, but within the building. A thunderous noise that knocked everyone off their feet. Dust and debris filled the air. The crowd gasped. Panic surged. Elon's heart raced. This was chaos beyond anything he could have imagined. "Get down!" Tom shouted, instinctively shielding Amanda as pieces of the ceiling fell. Elon ducked, his instincts kicking in, but a sharp pain shot through his leg. He winced and looked down. A pista de debris ha sido arrancada en el emponte. Nadie vio qué pasaba. Todos estaban enfocados en la entrada, estando figuras al pendiente de la masa. Que sea un ataque, alguien más calmo adivinarles el aire. Entonces, la figura se puso a percepción y amenaza en su postura. "This is bigger than you all thinking," they shouted, voice echoing with power. "Elon, you've been played, and it's time for you to know the truth." As they activated the device, a holographic image sprang to life in the air, a swirling mass of faces, numbers, and connections. It weaved through the air as if pulling part of his life inside out. Elon's breath hitched as he recognized some of the faces, people he had trusted, friends, mentors, and enemies. "It's all connected," the figure explained, their voice booming. "The lies, the deception. Your mentor was just a puppet. The strings were pulled from way above." The crowd went silent, tension thick enough to slice. Who was this person? What were they talking about? Elon felt his mind scramble, the walls closing in as the implications sank in. "I'm not his accomplice, I was his victim," he yelled, but doubts clawed at him. With every passing second, the tide of public opinion shifted, their expressions morphing from rage to curiosity. Images flashed behind the figure, deals that spanned decades, intertwining reminiscences of betrayal, all linking back to a hidden cabal that manipulated the industry. Snippets of board meetings, whispers behind closed doors, and all the shadows gathering around his mentor's legacy. The realization struck him like a bolt of lightning. This was bigger than anyone had known. "Is this true?" he whispered, mostly to himself. "No, it can't be," someone from the crowd shouted. "You're lying. You're just trying to blame someone else." But just before the figure could respond, the device glitched. An electrifying zap filled the air, and the holographic image flickered, the projector struggling to keep up with the intense energy around it. From the chaos emerged a voice, familiar and sharp. "Stop!" It was Jess. "That's enough. You're here to twist the truth, not expose it." Unexpectedly, she stepped forward, voice rising over the confusion. "Elon, please listen. This was never about what you did. It's about what they're trying to bury. Your mentor's death was no accident. It was a warning, a stifling of the truth." The tension snapped. Disbelief washed over the crowd. Fingers pointed, conversations erupted. Elon's mind reeled. The very ground felt uprooted beneath him. Why would Jess say this? What was she hiding? Suddenly, he caught a glimpse of something glimmering on the floor near the device. A flash of silver, his mentor's family crest. Recognition washed through him. The truth hit him like a freight train. All the ties that bound him, not just the legacy he had fought to build, but chains more potent than glass. Lies draped in history, submerged deep under layers of deceit. The crowd held their breath, every gaze locked onto Elon, demanding an answer to this spiraling chaos. He felt the weight shifting, the path ahead, cloaked in shadowed uncertainty. Then, above the clamor, a low rumble echoed. The ground shook beneath him, a tremor vibrating through the atmosphere, as if the very universe conspired against their realities. Elon staggered, and just when he thought he couldn't take any more, the figure pointed directly at him, eyes blazing. "You are the key. Will you unlock the truth, or let it perish like your mentor?" Elon's heart raced, the shadows danced around him, and the choice hung heavy in the air. What lay ahead felt deeper than any ocean, darker than any night. What did he really know about himself, the mentor, and the price of truth? Elon stood at the crossroads of chaos, his heart pounding in his chest. The crowd watched as he faced the looming figure, the hologram flickering behind them like a broken promise. All eyes were on him, expecting an answer that could shatter the silence or mend the fractures of truth. What lay ahead felt like a gaping abyss, dark and indifferent. He took a shaky breath, heart racing. "I was used, a pawn in someone else's game," he said, voice trembling. The words felt heavy, like stones dropping into a still pond, ripples spreading beyond his grasp. Who had he been? What was real? The crowd shifted, murmurs echoing, confusion written on their faces. "What are you going to do?" someone called out from the depths of the mass. Their words hung in the air, a weight asking for courage. "I won't run," he declared, the resolve igniting within him. "I will face this. I will uncover the truth." Each word felt transformative, unleashing a power that coursed through his veins. The audience leaned closer, some clenching their fists, others nodding. Maybe they were willing to hear him. Elon turned to Jess, her eyes wide, uncertainty flickering. "You can't just expose everything. This could destroy everything we built," she exclaimed, desperation punctuating her words. "Or it could rebuild it. We can change this narrative," he replied, fire lighting his eyes. "We owe that much to those who have suffered." The crowd erupted, voices rising in fervor, a collective heartbeat thundering in agreement. "Truth! We want the truth!" they chanted, echoing like a wave crashing against the shore. Just then, police moved in closer, still holding their ground with watchful caution. Yet their expressions worn with tension offered a flicker of uncertainty. They were caught in the storm too. Were they the protectors, or a part of the problem? Elon Tom en el periférico, disfrende facieteado con enojo. "Necesitamos pensarlo también, Colón. Esto es territorio peligroso." Pero al escanear el mar de caras, sintió una alteración entre la desesperación de miedo. The specter of hope rose amid the chaos. This wasn't just his fight anymore. It was everyone's. He had to be the catalyst, a beacon igniting the truth. Turning back towards the crowd, he raised his arm, gathering their attention. We won't let the lies surround us any longer. Together, we will unearth the truth, seek justice for those who were exploited. A deafening roar erupted, voices climbing higher, raw and powerful. Together! Together! In that moment, time felt suspended. The tension vibrated through Elon as he grasped his own destiny. The shadows danced around him, threatening to darken his legacy. But he refused to falter. As the energy pulsed in waves around him, he knew the fight was only beginning. Would his truth shine a path forward, or would it threaten to consume him as it had his mentor? That lingering doubt filled his mind, a shadow whispering uncertainty. But for now, in that moment, he clung to hope and the promise of navigating the darkness. Then, the figure who had first set the chaos into motion stepped forward again. Will you expose the puppet masters behind it all? Their voice echoed deep, a call to change. Every voice has the power to dismantle a system. Yes, Elon shouted, no longer a mere reflection of his mentor's legacy, but a man authoring his own truth. He knew the battle would be long and painful, but he was ready. As the scene around him shifted, his heart still raced. The storm raged on, but Elon had chosen his path. In the quiet after the storm, he smiled, knowing that the truth would set them free. And as he stepped forward, offering his hand to those around him, their hopes became one with his. What lay ahead remained uncertain. Now, this is the moment you must seize. You have to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss out on the exclusive stories coming your way. Smash that like button now and give the algorithm the boost it needs. Flood the comment section with your reactions and theories about this epic ending. Don't wait even a second longer to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this wild ride. Your support means everything. Only true fans understand the importance of that. Let's keep this journey alive, together.